This presentation evaluates GCash's strategic position within the Filipino e-wallet industry and assesses the feasibility of introducing new revenue streams to strengthen its upcoming independent public offering. Using established strategic frameworks, I will be diagnosing the firm's key issues by analyzing its internal and external positioning, evaluating revenue options using quantitative strategic planning matrices, and ultimately proposing an integrated strategy to deliver a superior competitive advantage in pursuit of its goals. Originally pioneered in 2004 by Globe Telecom, GCash started as an SMS-based remittance service designed to address the banking gap in a nation where physical geography and economic barriers left most of the population unbanked. But today, GCash has transitioned from a simple payments tool into a modular digital ecosystem, culminating in the first mobile QR payment system in the Philippines back in 2017, followed by a suite of integrated financial services, including savings, investments, and insurance. Interestingly, the last 2 decades have witnessed GCash's transition from a popular utility to a national necessity, largely driven by the attitude shifts during the COVID-19 outbreak in 2020. During this period, it became a lifeline for Filipinos, distributing over $320 million in government aid while acting as a primary conduit for contactless commerce. This accelerated GCash's narrative towards its double unicorn status in 2021, effectively dominating the e-wallet space by commanding over 80% of coverage across the Philippines. This paved the way for the $8 billion valuation of GCash on its upcoming independent public offering in 2026, which necessitates a pivot towards introducing new revenue streams that take advantage of its huge customer base to excite investors. Despite its market leadership, GCash currently faces a key strategic challenge that it needs to address to make its IPO more compelling. Number one, with its addressable market nearing peak saturation, GCash must transition away from high-volume, low-value services to nurture higher-margin services that can grow its average revenue per user. This is essential in its bid to rise beyond its $8 million valuation, so that more money can be raised to fuel capital to expand its business and ultimately drive incremental profit for its investors. And interestingly, the National Bank of Philippines has revoked its freeze on the digital banking licenses, and today it is allowing up to 10 new digital banks to run in the Philippines. This has enabled competitors like GoMaya and GoTime to also offer QR payments, high interest savings, and integrated lending that challenge GCash today. This requires GCash to identify new niches that will allow it to escape the red ocean and fortify its business model against new competitors who will be eager to eat into its market share without sufficient differentiation. The primary purpose of a PESTLE scan is to identify the external macro-environmental factors that could impact an organization. From a political lens, the Filipino government is a strong advocate of digital payments with an aggressive 70% target encompassing all retail transactions by 2028. This is further accelerated by Senate Bill 2781, which mandates government agencies to embrace digital payment systems, potentially funneling millions of citizens into the digital economy. This implies that there is significant pressure from both public and private sector to adopt a cashless position. From an economic point of view, national growth is heavily propped up by transfers from overseas Filipino workers, amounting to more than $35 billion in 2025 alone. This represents more than 6% of national GDP and provides a massive liquidity pool for e-wallets, which is encouraging because research suggests that a 1% increase in digital payment adoption positively correlates with a 0.1% growth in GDP per capita. This phenomenon is theorized to be influenced by the reduced friction during transactions while encouraging the circulation of money throughout the country. From a technological point of view, The country has more than 100 million internet users who predominantly access this over mobile phones with up to 5G speeds. This robust ecosystem fuels a digital marketplace valued at more than 28 billion US dollars, which prizes super apps that can bundle payments, discovery, and social interactions in a single interface. And lastly, from an environmental point of view, the Philippines is a cash-centric economy, and central to the system is the 1,000 peso backdoor, which serves as a primary engine of the economy. Research suggests that this single denomination represents more than 83% of the total value and close to half of the volume of all paper notes in circulation within the country. Consequently, the central bank's initiative to go cashless will ultimately reduce up to 2.5 billion pieces of paper, requiring less trees to be harvested and halting over 3.9 thousand tons of carbon emissions throughout its production. Michael Porter's 5 Forces framework is essentially a stress test for an entire industry. Its primary purpose is to help a business understand its competitive environment and determine the long-term profitability of a specific market. Here, the threat of new e-wallet players is moderate. Entry into the Philippines is subject to stringent guidelines, requiring each player to commit at least $4 million of assets, coupled with an application for an electronic money issuer license. While regulatory hurdles are time-consuming and capital-intensive, interestingly, both Google and Apple have recently announced their intention to offer e-wallets in the Philippines, indicating that the market remains attractive because of the country's massive user base. Findings also suggest that the bargaining power of buyers is high. Consumers in this market are price-conscious and frequently switch between wallets to maximize benefits related to promotions or exclusive deals that can only be offered within the e-wallets ecosystem, such as discounted fares during a trip from Grab or better interest rates from Maya for their fixed deposits. Under Porter's generic strategy, evidence suggests that e-wallets often juggle between selecting a differentiation strategy to offer the best benefit in its given space, such as discounts or offering convenience, or electing to extend coverage by encompassing a larger variety of solutions, such as encompassing the ability to make payments for utilities, for shopping, for food, and ultimately with the intention to attract the attention of the user. Furthermore, investigations also reveal that the threat of substitutes is moderate. Right? E-wallets today are surrounded by a fair number of alternatives, where many Filipinos still prefer using cash because it is deemed to be more convenient and ultimately more private, as it is harder to trace. Additionally, remittance agents such as Western Union or Palawan Express are convenient, but the fees incurred when transferring funds can be costly, and ultimately it is also troublesome to collect the funds, as the recipient must physically show up and provide proof of identity. E-wallets, on the other hand, are deemed to be more advantageous because digital cash does not consume physical storage and is easy to carry around. Additionally, they are widely accepted throughout the Philippines and are often bundled with discounts and rewards, which makes it attractive to consumers who seek to secure more value. The resource-based view is a strategic framework that theorizes a company's strategic competitive advantage originates from its internal resources rather than stimuli from the external environment. To ascertain if these resources provide a sustainable edge for GCash, the VRIO assessment is applied. Considering the value perspective, investigations intimate that GCash employs the mini-program ecosystem pioneered by Ant, which allows external developers to quickly build components and storefronts that can be accessed within the e-wallet. This is attractive for brands like Jollibee or McDonald's because it allows users to view products and make purchases directly from within the app without having to leave to open another application, thus making it a seamless experience. From the lens of rarity, during mini-program transactions, customers need not refurnish information like their name or mobile number again, as GCash's eKYC narrative already pre-verifies them. The convenience of using GCash's customer data for brands to pre-fill forms during purchase nurtures superior conversion rates because it saves time and offers a superior experience compared to the tedium normally expected from many alternative touchpoints. And when evaluating inimitability, additionally, GCash is also part of the Ayala Corporation, a multifaceted conglomerate with interests in finance, telecommunications, and electric vehicles that generate a combined revenue exceeding $6 billion per annum, which is an incredible feat to replicate. GCash will find it strategic because with its captive audience of 100 million users, not only can it choose to promote its own products, such as loans or investments, it can also elect to promote prepaid top-ups or even electric vehicles offered by its sister companies to generate advertising revenue as a new source of income. And from an organization point of view, during auto and home purchases, research suggests that one of the key challenges faced by prospects is that loans may be declined due to an unfavorable credit score. If GCash wishes to participate in the value chain, it can choose to consider leveraging customer data more effectively to facilitate segmentation by interpreting spending habits to generate a credit score applied to evaluate eligibility for loans. By allowing advertisers to promote electric vehicles or homes only to those with pre-approved financing, this reduces advertising expenditure and makes the deal more attractive, increasing both customer satisfaction and ultimately sales. While VRIO looks at the attractiveness of the assets possessed by GCash, Porter's value chain considers the processes employed by the organization to generate value. Investigations suggest that GCash proactively sources for new customers and merchants to sign up and grow their footprint. Subsequently, regulatory compliance is upheld through strict eKYC processes to verify the identity of the users and ultimately reduce the likelihood of fraud. Next, their solution is dedicated towards addressing two key problem statements. Firstly, the remittance of funds to the designated destinations, and number two, the ability to withdraw cash at any GCash authorized merchant for a nominal fee. Subsequently, to drive an incremental advantage for customers and the merchant community, GCash proactively formulates rewards and incentives to act as a carrot to draw in fresh users and engagement so that more transactions can be nurtured for its merchants, evidenced by its partnerships with players like Klook to reward Filipino travelers with complimentary eSIMs and hotel vouchers if they take the time to sign up. Lastly, GCash possesses a mini program ecosystem which many brands such as McDonald's or even Globe have integrated with to offer a unified buying experience. However, this strategy is not consistently applied towards its other sister companies such as BYD or the Bangko Sentral. If we apply Porter's value chain across the group, we can observe that in the Ayala Group, GCash has the largest pool of customers with over 100 million users. In practical terms, if a user's needs can be met by alternatives within the consortium, GCash can synergistically cross-sell relevant products from the alliance, which not only reduces the cost of acquisition, but this ultimately drives incremental lifetime value. For example, a customer planning to buy a BYD electric vehicle can potentially browse the latest BYD models from within GCash via a custom-built mini program. A benefit from this approach is that once they have decided to make the purchase, a loan proposal can be sourced from the Bank of Philippine Islands, which is a sister company, and offered effortlessly for the buyer's consideration, all from within the convenience of the same app. Upon financing approval, the customer can then be promoted homes from Ayala Land that come with inbuilt EV charging points, which makes the proposition significantly more attractive because EV charging only matters to someone who has actually bought an electric vehicle. This allows GCash to focus on delivering superior convenience to consumers while maximizing reach for the entire group from its dominant position in the market. However, we take note that this approach is evidently time-consuming because it consists of integration with endpoints from multiple stakeholders, from GCash, BYD, the Bank of the Philippine Islands for financing, and even Ayala Land to offer EV-compliant properties. And this requires significant engineering resources simply because mini program development also involves process design, testing, and ultimately software development. To sustain its $8 billion valuation, GCash must transition from a transactional tool to a fundamental engine of economic mobility. In pursuit of the latter, a Taos matrix can be applied to discover suitable alternatives to consider based on the micro and macro phenomena observed. Based on our findings, the first revenue model that we'd like to introduce is related to digital advertising. Advertising is the act of facilitating exposure to consumers in return for a media placement fee. Advertising has been a simple and effective way of increasing profitability for regional e-wallets like Grab, generating in excess of $200 million from this alone per annum. With GCash possessing more than 100 million registered users on its platform, this makes it a compelling source of revenue as GCash already sends out its internal promotions to customers and can easily adapt their process to promote external offerings. While advertising is indeed a lucrative option, research also intimates that more than half of consumers interviewed express irritation when they are shown irrelevant promotions. To address this meaningfully, it has become also essential for GCash to consider organizing data on its consumers related to their demographics and behavioral traits to subsequently allow advertisers to target users more effectively to improve both satisfaction and ultimately consideration. Next, the second revenue model that we'd like to introduce is known as affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing refers to a narrative where commission is paid whenever a sale occurs after a user arrives from a referral originating from the promoter. In this context, research unearths that GCash is highly dependent on high volume, low profit financial transactions, which limits its earning potential, especially when it's unable to grow its user base further, as it is already the market leader in the Philippines. However, findings also indicate that many of its sister companies possess access to high-ticket items such as housing, electric vehicles, and even loans. This makes it advantageous for GCash to promote and cross-sell higher value products and services sourced from sister companies such as BYD for electric vehicles or even Ayala Land for housing through affiliate marketing. Nevertheless, the success of this business model is predicated on maximizing the odds of a sale occurring. To accomplish this, GCash must also encourage its sister brands to build mini programs in GCash to make the user experience seamless and convenient to improve conversion rates, such as within GCash itself, after the user seeing an ad. Ideally, we want them to be able to click and book a test drive, arrange for delivery, and even schedule service all within the same interface, right? And lastly, we'd like to motion for the third revenue model, which is related to auto and home financing. Research suggests that GCash in 2025 alone disbursed more than 70 million of microloans to over 10 million borrowers. However, investigations also reveal that GCash has yet to extend financial assistance to buyers of new homes or electric vehicles from its sister companies, such as Ayala Land and BYD, right? One of the key barriers in the decision to procure a new vehicle or home is often related to the availability of financing, of which approval is often laborious and time-consuming. This is where GCash has a strategic advantage here, simply because through the customer's e-wallet spending habits, GCash can now determine the user's credit score, and this allows them to secure loan pre-approvals through its sister company, which is the Bank of Philippine Islands. Not only can GCash speed up approval for financing, it can also elect to prioritize promotions of electric vehicles and green homes to individuals who can actually afford it. And this can potentially increase the likelihood of sales as the loan is no longer a barrier to the purchase. To assist decision makers in comparing the desirability of alternative revenue stratagems based on micro and macro considerations, the Quantitative Strategic Planning Matrix, or QSPM, can be applied. In consideration of profitability, profit generated is a function of marginal profit multiplied by the volume of billable transactions. As a revenue model, digital advertising is low in profit but extremely high in volume, and this makes it advantageous to GCash because after the ad is delivered, the advertiser is already billed, irrespective of whether the customer ends up buying something. Conversely, while affiliate marketing and auto and home loans are expected to generate a higher profit margin per transaction, this will likely occur at far lower volumes simply because GCash will only earn commission after evidence of a successful transaction is furnished. Next, when evaluating the impact towards customer satisfaction, here the strongest candidate is related to the offering for auto and home loans. This is because it attempts to address a common pain point triggered only after a client has expressed interest in buying a vehicle or a home. The integrated approach of offering pre-approved financing to eligible prospects during the purchase itself is not the norm and delivers a strategic convenience that is hard for competitors to replicate. Digital advertisements and affiliate marketing fared less favorably here because without effective use of data, many users are suspected to be annoyed, especially when they are shown too many ads. And lastly, when contemplating ease of execution and compliance, operationalizing digital advertisements is simple, broadly requiring two elements, namely number one, consent from customers, and number two, the introduction of a platform for ad delivery, such as Google Ad Manager, that will be used to manage media rate cards, delivery of digital ads, and more importantly, proof of ad delivery to advertisers so that they're able to submit their bill. Here, affiliate marketing is slightly more complicated as while it is similar to an advertisement, it actually requires an additional mechanism to secure proof of purchase before the commission can be claimed. Lastly, auto and home loans is considered the most time-consuming to pursue as its conception necessitates partnership agreements and back-end integration between multiple stakeholders, such as BYD as the EV supplier, Bank of Philippine Islands as the financier, and Ayala Land as the home provider during consolidated buying processes within GCash. Lastly, analysis from QSPM suggests that given the operating environment, digital advertisements is the most attractive revenue strategy, followed by affiliate marketing and auto and home loans, which are both tied. In terms of consideration, diving deeper, observations suggest that digital advertising was typically ranked higher against the alternatives because of its high revenue potential, together with its ease of execution and compliance. Although auto and home loans together with affiliate marketing were considered slightly less attractive, this was predominantly attributed to the challenges related to inking partnership agreements between subsidiaries and the added burden of dealing with compliance. Based on the evidence, we would definitely propose for digital advertisements to be prioritized first, as it has the highest income potential while consuming the least amount of resources to operationalize. Despite digital advertising scoring the highest score, a hybrid approach may be more compelling for an independent public offering, simply because investigations suggest that the three business models proposed are symbiotic in nature, as they progressively lead towards complementary engines of growth as the user moves further down the path to conversion. Based on this, we would highly recommend GCash to not only execute digital advertising, but for affiliate marketing to be considered later in the medium term, as all it requires to operationalize this revenue stream is the additional step of submitting evidence that the transaction has occurred as a result from its referral, so that commission can be claimed. Subsequently, auto and home loans can be adopted as part of a longer-term plan because executing this requires many moving components, such as consensus between participating subsidiaries, together with development effort to build an integrated customer experience on GCash via the mini program, which will clearly take extra time to accomplish. Based on the forecasts, this integrated approach culminates in nearly more than $900 million of additional revenue on top of the projected $365 million resulting from only considering digital advertisements, which is bound to raise the attractiveness of the IPO valuation to please prospective investors. Furthermore, focusing on customer satisfaction as the holy grail fully takes advantage of an evolving value chain that attempts to produce more profit at each subsequent step, starting from delivery of awareness to consumers through digital advertising, followed by being compensated for purchases during affiliate marketing, and ultimately nurturing superior conversion rates at the point of purchase for homes and electric vehicles through integrated pre-approvals for financing via auto and home loans. In summary, the systematic application of strategic frameworks ranging from PESTLE to Porter's 5 Forces to VRIO and QSPM transforms complex market data into cohesive, actionable roadmaps for GCash. By synthesizing macro-environmental opportunities with internal conglomerate advantages, these tools prevent strategic drift and ensure that the proposed pivot towards digital advertising and auto and home loans is both defensible and scalable. While PESTLE and Porter's 5 Forces ground the evaluation in the reality of the Filipino digital shift and the competitive red ocean of its operating environment, the VRIO and value chain analysis pinpointed the integrated Ayala experience as an inimitable mode. Ultimately, QSPM served as the objective arbiter, balancing investor demands for high-margin revenue with the operational realities of execution. For an organization approaching a $8 billion IPO, this structured approach is indispensable as it shifts decision-making from intuitive guesswork to data-backed rigor. By aligning GCash's 100 million user reach with high-value financing and targeted ad technology, these frameworks demonstrate that the most attractive strategy is one that harmonizes immediate profitability with the long-term ecosystem stickiness, securing both a compelling and resilient narrative for global investors.